the Rudy Reyes Show. I'm your host, Rudy Reyes, right here for an hour's worth of goodness on the Two Live Stews Radio Network. There are two separate talks going on in the town right about now, depending on where you live. One yesterday with a bang in the NBA. Bang. And in one form or another, talks are ensuing in the NFL sooner than later, as Le'Veon Bell tweeted out that he'll be back September 1st. This is very interesting because as of now, you've only heard about Tomlin communication with Le'Veon Bell. There has been no other communication, only him tweeting or lack thereof for not only our lack of amusement, but for him doing what he's got to do. From what I understand, he's been in Miami. We're going to talk about all of that good stuff right here on the Rudy Reyes Show, right here on the Two Live Stews Radio Network. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate the listenership, as it were. And, of course, we're going to talk to Chris Adamski, who is a part of Triple Live down in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We're going to talk to him at 30 past the hour, so make sure you tune in for that. Also, depending on what side of town you live on, or maybe the cave that you lived in and didn't realize that the Boston Celtics has made a monster blockbuster trade with the Cleveland Cavaliers for Kyrie Irving, and in transition, we'll get Jay Crowder, a 2018 Brooklyn's net pick, Ante Zizic, who's a possible rotational player for the Cavs. I want to see how he will fit in when he does. And of course, the beloved Bostonian favorite, and I say Bostonian because that's really what it boils down to. There was a photo that I seen come across, or rather a video, about a young lady who was screaming in her bed, and it was all based on the fact that Isaiah Thomas is no longer with the Boston Celtics. Very interesting. I think it's kind of a reach when you think about, I mean, does somebody really love him that much to just epically fail at the fact that there was a three-way deal? I mean, the Boston wanted to do what they had to do, and that's what they did. They wanted a guy to get more from, and that was Kyrie Irving. Everybody's talking about it. This isn't something new. I just didn't create this in my one-bedroom apartment. I'm talking about this is coast to coast. Everybody's talking about it. It's a huge deal. Huge deal. But who's it a bigger deal for? Is it for the Celtics to get Kyrie Irving, a guy who's younger, who proved to be a star while with the crosstown rival, as it were, at least in the Eastern Conference, and the Cleveland Cavaliers, who went in number 2 in last year's postseason run? Forget all the rhetoric. Forget what you heard. This is a real deal. Period. When you look at Isaiah Thomas and the injury that happened to him last year in the finals, couldn't happen to the best guy at the worst possible time, and that is Isaiah Thomas. But upon further inspection, and the bigger picture for the Cavaliers is, what does this truly, really mean for LeBron James? The rumor has it that it's likely that LeBron James will not stay in Cleveland. I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think he's going anywhere. Especially after the 2018 season, where they're right there on the cusp getting knocked out by the Golden State Warriors to earn their, not back-to-back, but second championship, which did it in Game 6, as I predicted they would do. Not toot my own horn here, just stating the fact. Good afternoon. Ben, Mama, right here in the chat room, live on Spreaker. I'm on Facebook Live as well. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you chat. You can chat here. You can chat on Spreaker. So make sure you check it out. This is Rudy Reyes on the Rudy Reyes Show on the Two Live Stews Radio Network. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate the chat. Yep, 10 days to Bama. You got it. You're into the Roll Tide? Well, I'm going to roll along with you. Hey, Alabama is certainly one of the best teams in NCAA football this year on a top 25 poll. So we're not talking about that. We could do a sidebar on that one, Ben, if you want to call into the show at some point. Well, we're talking NBA and NFL, but we're going to start with the NBA. After 15 seasons in the NBA, would you suspect that Isaiah Thomas would be the centerpiece when LeBron James leaves? When he finally goes, when everybody can put down their glass balls Wait, that didn't come out right. They can put down their futuristic notions and notate the fact that LeBron James could be headed out of Cleveland. That's the reality of it. I was talking with TV right here on the Rudy Reyes Show. I don't mean I'm talking to a television. Her name is TV. She was right here on the Rudy Reyes Show. We were talking about the LeBron James move and how he could end up in Los Angeles. Now, an interesting note in the NBA, there's a report going on right now that the NBA is looking into tampering with Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. Whether or not that anything negative comes from that is another story. But there are rules about not being able to touch a guy, and of course, right in the middle of it all is Magic Johnson. Is he telling the truth? He didn't have anything to do with it and know anything about it? I doubt it. He is, after all, general manager. This is a black eye to a Lakers team, and for some reason this comes to fruition that there was some tampering going on between the Lakers and Indiana Pacers' own Paul George. But I wouldn't be too sure about LeBron leaving. Why? Because when Isaiah Thomas becomes the number one guy, no longer playing second fiddle, which is where he's at now, playing second fiddle to LeBron James, exactly where Kyrie Irving was before this deal came down yesterday. You can ask who was fleeced or who truly was a winner here because of whether it was the Cavaliers or the Celtics, I don't know. You be the judge. I'll speculate. I will go out on a limb to suggest that this was equal all the way around. Nobody acquired the better half. Nobody acquired the worst half. This was an even deal across the board. It really was. It truly was. Why? Because you get Kyrie Irving, who's an absolute menace to the Boston Celtics last year, found a way to do it in the finals when LeBron James was not inserted into the lineup, whether it's a starting lineup or he came in the rotation. He just laid the hammer down all over the Celtics. Now he has the opportunity to do it with the Celtics and lay the hammer down on the Cavaliers. The biggest question is, will he? Will he have that capability? Will he be able to really put it down? He's going to stay 1 year. I think when you look at LeBron James, when you look at what happened the last time he left, you remember what happened the last time he left? Jerseys are burning. That's exactly what happened. Especially when you win a championship, doesn't that cement you in one environment? Doesn't that stick you there forever? Well, no, it doesn't. There are only a few players in NBA history who actually stayed in their respective teams after winning a championship. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, and a handful of others. They didn't go anywhere else. They wanted to stay where they knew it was good, where they were familiar and comfortable in their surroundings, in their environment, and with those players that they played. Remains to be seen whether or not LeBron James can find a way to bring another championship to Cleveland this year, but that road goes through Golden State. I still think Golden State had so many other pieces between Klay Thompson and all the rotation and how deep their bench was. There's not really a lot that's changed. Kevin Durant was a welcome addition last year. I don't foresee, as fast-paced as Golden State wants to play, I don't see Cleveland being able to outmatch them. The only way that can become credible is if Isaiah Thomas, because he's fast, he's quick on the post, he gets inside, he does amazing things with the basketball, but you have the same conversation about Kyrie Irving. I think a big difference between LeBron James playing with Kyrie Irving and LeBron James playing with Isaiah Thomas is, well, here's the thing about that, Bama boy, and I'm going to throw this out there right now. LeBron helps people play better. He has Lonzo Ball to play with, who happens to be the superstar of the Summer League. They have other pieces around them. Now, here's what can happen. LeBron James could go to Los Angeles. This is all predicated, of course. LeBron James goes to Los Angeles. If for some reason Lakers were found of not guilty of tampering with Paul George, guess what's going to happen? Paul George will opt out of his contract, whatever remainder is on it, come out to LA to play with him. Then you have those three to contend with. I think it's a really good build. I honestly think that when you look at LeBron James, when you look at Lonzo Ball, when you look at Paul George, these three could be very menacing, not only in the backcourt but in pushing the ball and pushing the tempo. Any of these three players are not even remotely close and familiar other than A, playing against them, B, off-season conversations, which could very well have happened. We know how people like to talk and communicate amongst one another, whether it be the NFL or the NBA or the coaching ranks of the NCAA or even players that face off against one another in championship tournaments. So I think LeBron James in 2018, if Lakers aren't found guilty of tampering Paul George in 2018, Lonzo Ball in 2018, that's going to be a very good team, especially out here in the West where it's been lack thereof, and the Clippers just got worse with the CP3 headed over to Houston. So there you go. That's my take on it. But I'm not going to speculate anything at this point. Look, the opening game is October 17th between the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers, the 1-2s in the East. Now, I could probably say maybe Danny Ainge has some type of buyer's remorse when it comes to acquiring Kyrie Irving. No, he doesn't. Don't even think about it. No. Rough Bub, thank you for joining. This is Rudy Reyes on the Two Life Stews Radio Network on the Rude Dog Show. Tune in, check me out on live on Spreaker, and go to the chat room. Say hello. Sit for a spin. I think when you look at Danny Ainge and the Celtics, you realize that the probability of them getting to the NBA Finals will go through Cleveland, and they have the 1-2 punch in depth from that Boston bench. You're right, Grego, he does. You're absolutely right, he does. He loves young players because he can help mold them. I mean, who doesn't? Especially the NBA. Do you see the NFL saying, here's your highlight guy, here's what I want you to do, I want you to train this guy? They're going to say, psh, not me, man. I'm not the one. I'm not going to do it. I have no love, no desire to train my replacement. That's the NFL. Hey, Casey, what's going on? Thank you for chatting here in the chat room, right here on the Rude Dog Show on the Two Life Stews Radio Network. I don't think you're going to see any buyer's remorse here. Why? Because Danny Ainge certainly got what he wanted. He made the moves to get Gordon Hayward from Utah. How does that not work in their system? Somehow they have to find a way to work him in. This is a new look Celtics team. This isn't your mom and dad Celtics team, your cousin's Celtics team. This is a new look Celtics team. And I'll take this a step further. If for some reason the Boston Celtics end up either being 1 or 2 in the East, just like they were last season, and Kyrie Irving is leading it all to be that number one guy that he wanted to so badly to exit, being number 2 in Cleveland, where he has been since 2011. He was picked by the Cleveland Cavaliers. I believe that he can be worked into being the integral part of curing negative feelings. Yeah, okay, fine. So initially he's going to get booed. But once he starts winning, how are fans going to feel? How are they going to feel? Are they going to turn themselves around and say, well, he's winning. He's putting us into these situations. Well, of course. I will say this right off the bat. He's part of that integral rotation. You will find out that he's going to sell more jerseys than Gordon Hayward on the same team. I'm just going to throw that out there. Because Kyrie Irving is explosive. He's got great ball control, great passing skills. It's going to be a 1-2 punch. A 1-2 punch. I think eventually Kyrie Irving would end up feeling a little bit of that love potion number 9. All things considered. The sides to this are simple. The trade was prompted by Kyrie Irving, who did not want to be in Cleveland anymore. He got his wish. Whether or not he does anything with the Boston Celtics, which I think he will, I think there's a lot of conversation surrounding that. Oh, forget the Knicks. Look, the Knicks are a byproduct to all of this. As LeBron James wants to go play for whoever he wants to, I am more than confident that teams in the NBA, just like the Cleveland Cavaliers did, is to clear roster space, clear monetary space in order to acquire somebody just like him. Who wouldn't? Knicks don't have that kind of firepower. That team's in complete and utter disarray right now. They haven't recovered from last year, heck, even the last 2 or 3 years. They're not going anywhere. There's no way LeBron James is going to find himself in New York. He knows there isn't enough pieces there to go win a championship. Good question, Greg. What's going on, Cedric? Thank you for tuning in. This is Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show on the Two Life Stews Radio Network. In the NBA, unlike the NFL, you remember number 2. Yeah, I mean number 2. I'm talking Kyrie Irving, number 2. You remember him. Why? He wanted to make himself memorable by asking for a trade, and that's exactly what he got. Ultimately, the Cavs had to make a move to potentially resolve both short and long-term interests by the addition of 3, including a 4th round in 2018. Let's not forget that Irving, who's been with the Cavs since they made him their number 1 pick 2011 draft, will be joining a team he helped defeat in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's just the way it is. I want to see what this is all about. I want to see what the big hype is. I want to see how they will work Kyrie Irving into that rotation. I like Kyrie Irving. The guy's explosive. He's fast. He's memorable. He put a lasting impression on the Boston Celtics by putting a hammer down on them. I mean, how can you not remember those things? Remember a guy who basically destroyed you when he had the opportunity, given the chance to be put on the court. You can't lose here. You cannot lose. But again, this is parity in the NBA at its best. Cavaliers say, you know what, Kyrie, you want out. This is what and where you're going. And for the Cavaliers, this is what we want, Celtics. If you want this number 1 guy on our team, who's actually number 2. But we're not going to tell you. We're going to sell you on the fact that he's number 1. Don't forget, LeBron James has been here 15 seasons. 15. He's got some miles on him. Kyrie Irving, on the other hand, only in 2011. And the age differential between Isaiah Thomas and Kyrie Irving is 4 years. How do you not go with this? This sounds like a win-win. It's a win for both teams. You're right. The problem is that if you don't trade somebody, and that's a good question, Bama boy. Very good question. The point is this, is there was nobody else who was willing to take Kyrie Irving. There was no other team out there willing to take him on, willing to pay him what he was looking for. Celtics was a fantastic fit. Fantastic fit. I see, again, these two teams going back-to-back. Look, nothing against Toronto, nothing against Atlanta, both in the semis. Nothing to take away from them. You're right. When you play a familiar foe, and to your point, Grego, when you're in a system and playing against a team, just like in the NFL, when you face them off 3-4 times a year, you become extremely familiar year after year after year after year, so much so that you can plan a game to their strengths and plan a game to their weaknesses and work both of those against that team. Same goes for the Celtics, same goes for the Cavaliers. It works in both respects. Good question, by the way. Good stuff here, ladies and gentlemen, here in the chat room on the Rude Dog Show on Spreaker. So please check it out. I'm here for another 40 minutes or so. And, of course, 30 past the hour. Chris Adamski joins me right here on the Rude Dog Show to talk about Le'Veon Bell's situation, his September 1st reprieve, if you will. It's going to be interesting. Very, 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 very interesting. You're going to want to tune in for this one. I think that when you look at any slight edge to this Cavs roster, based on familiarity, This season will be the defining season for LeBron James. And if LeBron James wins, if the Cavaliers win another championship and take it away from the defending world champion Golden State Warriors, you'll find out that LeBron James could very well get up and walk, especially when he'll probably be in talks with the LA Lakers or some other very formidable team. Yeah, and you're right, Rough Buff, absolutely. Look, Kyrie wasn't going to go out just like that. His thought process is, I am too good, someone's going to pick me up, someone's going to want me, someone's going to be blowing up my cell phone or my agent's cell phone. And here's what I pose. If for some reason the Boston Celtics win a championship, and I know this is far-fetched, Big Squad, thanks for joining. I see your chat, yo. If that's a word, I think that is a word today, yo. But I could see Kyrie Irving going back to Cleveland if LeBron James gets sent out to Los Angeles. Why? Because of the familiarity. Because he already knows. They love him, and they love him there. As a matter of fact, Cavs owner Dan Gilbert, on behalf of the entire franchise, I want to thank Kyrie for the 6 impressive years he spent with Cleveland wearing the Cavaliers uniform. From the moment we won the 2017 NBA lottery that put us in position to draft Kyrie to that shot that sealed our first NBA championship, all the electrifying plays that made him a joy to watch. Excitement was always in the air when it came to Kyrie Irving. We wish him and his family well as he moves on to the next phase of his NBA career. Courtesy of the Washington Post. The 2012 Rookie of the Year, 25 years old at 25.2 points per game, over 5.5 assists per game, helping the Cavaliers reach to the 3rd straight NBA Finals. This was a great pickup from Boston. Yes, I'm giving the Celtics credit here. It was a great trade, but you know what? That was the only trade. That was the only team that could have put anything up to get Kyrie Irving. They must have wanted him pretty bad. Or Kyrie Irving just made a very good case to say, hey, look at my numbers. Numbers don't lie. He doesn't have to lie. He stays energetic. He stays poised. He stays aware of what's going on in the rest of the NBA. I guarantee there were other conversations with other teams by him and or his agent. Guaranteed. But the best positioning, I mean, you're not too far away. If you have to move, why not move to Boston? If you're in Cleveland, it's not that far. This is Rudy Reyes on the Two Life News Radio Network, right here on the Root Dog Show. I look at the Boston Celtics, and I think to myself, this team is going to be very hard to beat in the finals. You're right. Celtics get stronger with the trade. You're right. I completely agree with you. Because what they get is a younger player, basically similar to Isaiah Thomas in points per game, assists, percentage from 3, percentage from 2, or inside of the arc rather. So you get a parallel move, but you get somebody who is dynamic. He's a coaching dream, Kyrie Irving. Not to suggest that, Isaiah Thomas is not, or Jay Crowder, or Zizic, or the 18 future pick for the Cavaliers. But look at the Cavaliers, I think to myself, man, this team is going to also be very hard to beat. Again, a very parallel move. Nobody really gains a whole lot. They gain it, but in different ways. There are some parallels, but there's a lot of differentials between both of these teams in regards to that trade. I honestly believe that when you look at the Cavaliers and you look at the Celtics, they're very closely set to mirror one another. When I say mirror, I mean mirror as in they look so similar. Very similar. But don't forget, Thomas, who's 28 years old, found a way in his second full season, despite the injuries prior to. He had, a stint in Sacramento, which was great. There's nothing wrong with that. But he's 5'9", almost 29 points, 5.9 assists per game. And the guy, again, very parallel moves between both of these teams. I like the moves. I think they were smart moves. Who takes advantage of it October 17th when they go head-to-head? We won't know yet. It's going to be a very close game. At that point, they'll already have time to gel, relax, chill out, become familiar with one another, and really make a run. And I think both teams can do it. They have the ability, they have the talent, they have the acumen. At that point, they'll have the relationship already built and cemented between both of these two franchises, storied franchise. Of course, now Cleveland becomes a conversation of a storied franchise because they've won a championship. How can you go wrong with that? Are they storied now? Are they the worst? No. Are they the best? No. Golden State Warriors are the best, at least now. This is Rudy Reyes on the Root Dog Show on the Two Life Stews Radio Network. Make sure you stay tuned for Chris and Dance. We're talking about Le'Veon Bell, the Steelers, what's going on. Bell-Bryant called out for the day. He wasn't able to play. He's apparently day-to-day with some issue, some problem. Of course, Mike Tomlin never likes to discuss these things. So. I look at the NBA, there are so many solid components. Celtics took a chance on Marquise Fultz. I love Marquise Fultz. That was a fantastic pick. I seen him play. He played in the summer league. I seen him in college. The guy can tear it up. He has a very physical body. I even spoke about him right here on the Root Dog Show on the Two Life Stews Radio Network. There's just something about teams just like the Cavaliers, teams just like the Celtics, or any other team that puts them in position to be that 1-2 conversational component. I'm going to call Chris Adamski. See if Chris is available. Usually don't hear a dial tone, but hey. I'm trying to reach Chris Adamski. It's not an answer.
Hello, this is Chris Adamski.
Yeah, we're going to have to find another way to contact Mr. Chris. Stand by for me. This is Rudy Reyes on the Root Dog Show on the Two Life Stews Radio Network. I'm going to try him again and see if he's available.
Hello, this is Chris Adamski of Pittsburgh.
Well, Chris is not available. We're going to flip the script here. We're going to go over and talk about this Le'Veon Bell situation myself because there's a lot of rumors going on right now. Le'Veon Bell had tweeted out that by September 1st that you're going to see him back in a black and gold jersey. Now, I don't know how viable that is. I don't know how realistic that is. But I can tell you this. When I look at Le'Veon Bell and what he did last year, and again, you could have the conversation, you know what, that's what happened last year. This is what we're dealing with now, not last year. When I look at Le'Veon Bell, I look at a very explosive, dynamic, passionate player who puts it all out on the field and exhibits everything he needs to, everything that he has to. The problem is that there were some issues, little pieces. I don't know if it was dropped by the Steelers or if somehow somebody acquired it to leak it out, whatever the situation was. Le'Veon Bell was basically, at least from one perspective, stating that why are the Steelers making him look greedy? I don't know. Look, it's hard for me to even suggest and think that it was done intentionally to make Le'Veon Bell look greedy. But here's the problem with that. There was a deal put on the table for Le'Veon Bell to pick. There were conflicting reports about his agent saying, well, yeah, it was on the table, but this is what we have now. Hey, welcome to the Rude Dog Show. This is Rudy Reyes. Chris, are you there?
Yeah. Oh, great. Sorry, yeah.
It's all right, man. Hey, how are you?
Not too bad. I apologize for the delay. This was practically a little later than I thought.
No, that's okay. It's not a problem. Thanks for joining me. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Chris Adamski, who joins me from Trib Live. He covers, well, everything. Everything in Pittsburgh. He's covered or has covered it or will be covering it. Welcome, Chris, to the show. How are things in Pittsburgh?
How are things in Pittsburgh? It's a lovely day outside, actually. It's the first practice of the year. I've really the Steelers at their facility on the south side. It's no more training camp on the road. It's a little bit different routine here.
Yeah, no, I was accustomed in 2014. I didn't get a chance to. I didn't even know you then, actually. But looking at the rain and how harsh the weather conditions can be there in Pittsburgh, one of the reasons why the Steelers go somewhere else to practice. So it makes perfect sense. Let's get down to this, Chris. Prior to you calling in, I had a lot of issues with, and I still do, and I guarantee fans out there that are listening to this right now are probably shaking their head and saying, well, what's going on with Le'Veon Bell? What's the situation, at least the latest that you know right now?
Well, what I have to tell everybody is there's no leverage to be gained here. This is not technically a holdout because it doesn't have a contract. By definition, a holdout has to be if you're unhappy with your contract. That's a little bit technical there. I get it, but there's nothing to gain by extending this longer. The league rules define that he has to make $12.1 million this year. The Steelers can't offer more than that. It was not less than that. The Steelers can't pull the contract offer, or the tender, as it's technically called. If Bell's going to play this year, he's playing under those terms. So there's nothing to gain here. There's a face-off. The Steelers can offer more. That's not what's happening. It really doesn't make any sense for Bell not to show up. If you miss a game check, you miss obviously 1/16, 1/17 of the $12 million. So, he'll be here. The only loss in this part would be either his reputation and people get mad at him, or maybe his teammates, not saying he's not here. It's better to look at it not, but you know what? I'm both with his fans, the organization, his teammates. The team reports here, and he has a big game week 1, and he shows he's in shape. Everybody will totally forget about it by the time you get to the second or third game of the regular season. So that's the big thing. We assume he's in shape. He's obviously kept himself in shape. If he gets hurt, people are going to say, well, it's not going to fall. He didn't have a full camp. He didn't take it. That type of thing. And maybe they're right. We'll never know for sure. But I guess that's the biggest risk maybe in his mind right now.
Well, and there were some rumors, and there were photos, in fact, of Le'Veon Bell hanging out with Snoop Dogg. Now, of course, Le'Veon Bell's history with marijuana. Snoop Dogg, obviously, his past consists of either hanging around somebody who has marijuana or at some point is smoking it. I don't know which one. But do you have any concerns about that? And if so, what does concern you with Le'Veon Bell hanging out with Snoop Doggy Dogg?
I don't even know if I want to go there. Hey, I think generally his teammates overall have gotten to the point where they're a little bit frustrated. I think they probably expected him from this week, but they still know business is business, and he'll be here. He helps them win. He's the best running back in the league. So everyone will be happy, and it'll all be, if he comes in and rushes for 100 yards that first game and Steelers win, nobody will care who he's hanging out with at any point or doing whatever.
Yeah. No, I believe you there. I guarantee he was watching James Conner as Conner was becoming more familiar with the offense in relation to, man, that could be me. Is there anybody, do you think that he's worried at any point whatsoever that if he does not show up, that James Conner could become the heir apparent? And the reason why I say that is because I don't see Fitzgerald Toussaint as good as Toussaint is, and to his credit, he's been the mainstay in some capacities, but a lot of words from Steelers fans is that he's just not the guy and should not be carrying the rock.
Well, the thing is that they drafted James Conner in the third round for a reason. They obviously wouldn't spend that draft pick if they expected him to sit behind Fitzgerald Toussaint from along, but they were overly happy with their backup running back situation. But, it's been, Conner's had one preseason game so far. He's obviously well beloved here, well respected in Pittsburgh. But to say, he's challenging Le'Veon Bell for, his spot or anything, I don't, based on one game, isn't going to happen. And, to be honest with you, I don't even know for sure at this point. Toussaint still might be a little bit ahead of on the depth chart, depending on how it goes. But that's just understanding because Conner's been hurt so much during the camp so far.
Right, but when you look at James Conner, look at his body of work, whether he was at Pitt playing at Heinz Field or his first game, he almost ran for 100 yards, including a touchdown. And that's a rookie. But looking at the other rookies, you look at Josh Dobbs. I have a problem with looking at Josh Dobbs and saying, this guy, and I know he's a rookie, and I'm not trying to, at any point whatsoever, say he's not capable or cannot do the job or anything of that nature, but he just looked absolutely horrible in press coverage. He can't handle the rush. He doesn't step up in the pocket. He can't get rid of the ball in the time of release. I know he's a rookie, but there were some really questionable plays when he caught that ball up, when he shouldn't have even thrown it and just taken the sack or thrown it away. Is this a rookie mistake, Josh Dobbs, that we look at here, or is he always going to be that kind of player from your understanding?
Well, the thing is he's definitely he's naturally intelligent. He's well-liked. He seems to have all of his tangibles. I don't think it's necessarily a lot of smart football play. But when we were drafting him, he was always, kind of, I don't want to say I think that's much too far, but it was more long-term thing. He wasn't necessarily seen as the most ready quarterback in the draft to play right away. He was going to hold a quarterback, and of course they don't. So it was always something where he had his upside potential to be something great in the future because the Steelers don't need him to be good for another 2 or 3 years or maybe 1 year depending on if he retires, whatever. So you see you see his arm at times, you see his inaccurate arm at other times, the game performance hasn't been that great so far, but I don't think anybody ever breathed or thought that he was going to be ready immediately to start, or immediately an NFL caliber starting quarterback level. I think they're going to help that, but it never was really fun. We're looking more, get him ready to be that type of quarterback into 2018 or 2019.
Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not trying to say that Josh Dobbs does not have the intangibles. He's a great guy. He was the 4th-round pick out of Tennessee. I've seen him play at Tennessee. He's very agile. He can get out of the pocket. I think, and again, because he's a rookie, there's a lot of reasons why I feel, and now Houston may not make it, okay? Bert Houston may not be the guy under center. But when you go from a guy who was a walk-on compared to a guy that you drafted, he leads you down into the red zone to put you in scoring position and gets you to score, despite the interception in the end zone. That's correctable. But does Bart Houston even have a shot here to stay on this team?
With all due respect, Bart Houston, no. Obviously, it's one of the 3 other guys who's hurt. They need a third-string quarterback. that. But it really hasn't stood out. I mean, let's say the fourth quarterbacks are there just to be an arm for training camp to get everybody else rest. We can give Roethlisberger a day off or something hurt, like Rudy Reyes has been hurt. But I don't know if it's really a long-term future for Marty. He's a good guy, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think if something happens to Brandon or Landry goes before the start of the season, I think the Steelers will go out there and try to find somebody on the waiver while the trade market or free.
Well, from my understanding, they did pull in a quarterback. And I don't have enough familiarity or background on the guy. From what I understand, he's out of West Virginia. And obviously West Virginia is a lot closer to Pittsburgh than any other city. But I look at what the Steelers have done to concretely put somebody in position to be the ultimate backup. And I don't mean Landry Jones. All due respect to Landry Jones, he's not the answer in Pittsburgh. I've seen the guy falter. Yes, he had a decent season headed towards the end, headed into the playoffs, but just still not the caliber quarterback that needs to back up a Super Bowl winning quarterback, two-time winner, third-time entry. So the quarterback position is certainly something that's still up for grabs. And another note that came to mind, Tomlin stated that Martavis Bryant is day-to-day with a lower back issue, but he wouldn't really elaborate. Do you know anything more about that?
Yeah, I mean, supposedly it's nothing really short-term, nothing to worry about right now. It's limited. We'll see, obviously. If it drags on throughout the week, Saturday, another preseason game, then it might be something, but I don't think it's a real concern at this point.
How's Juju Smith-Schuster? You drafted out of USC. He's having some type of leg issue. What's the latest on that?
Well, even today, he practiced the full practice, pretty much everything. He's not 100% yet, but he felt back and he was there. So, again, nothing long-term, nothing to worry about too much. He's not 100%, but he expects to play Saturday in the preseason game. He expects to play a long-time game. So, it's been good to see him on the field for a full game, or at least more than he's got a handful of snaps in the first. They did play the second game, so it'll be good to see him out there again.
Well, it's going to be definitely good to see Le'Veon Bell. I know a lot of people are really questioning him, and I even question. I don't try not to beat a dead horse here, Chris, but I really look at this Le'Veon Bell situation and think to myself, he was going to make a double-digit $1 billion, not the highest paid running back in the league, which is what he wanted, which is one of the reasons why he felt he was being undervalued because of the contract that was supposedly reneged. What's the real story on that? Was it something that his agent agreed to with him at the last minute, Le'Veon pulled the plug, or is it the reversal? What's going on there?
Well, Le'Veon's been upfront over his time that he kind of wanted to change the game. He feels, I think he has a point. Whether he should be saying it this way or not, but he kind of changed the running back position and the way he's a receiver and his running style is so much different than what he's seen. His production is better than anybody here every year. So he saw that as a way that he can change the running back market too. He's talking about that, about how running backs, their salaries have gone down in the past few years. Everybody else has gone way, way up, every other position on the field. So he wanted to change that. So I think, we heard it in last few years, $15 million. I think he wanted that number. I think he was going to, hold on for that number, and he didn't get it. So I think he's kind of operating on principle right now. So that's what he wanted to do, and that's what he wanted to get. And so, he knows he has to play with the franchise tag now. He's kind of taking a gamble. He's probably got a bigger bonus. He's signed a long-term contract. He gets hurt this year, has a bad year. But if he has a decent year, he'll get that $15 million next year.
Well, I mean, he's making $7,000 a week by agreeing to the franchise tag. I mean, if I was a player in the NFL, somebody give me $7,000. I'll play every week. $7,000. Who's losing here? That's more than what most people make in a month. $7,000. Look, but here's the situation, and again, here's the issue that I have. The deal was on the table. He only played 16 full games since he was drafted. and he wants being the highest paid running back in the NFL, when that position of itself, as you just stated, has been slowly declining because it's a short-term position. It's a short-term life. Jerome Bettis will be the first person to tell you. I had a chance to have Jerome Bettis right here on the Rude Dog Show, and we didn't even get into that aspect. But from my understanding, he wanted to get a Super Bowl ring, and he wanted to get out because he was done. If it wasn't for Ben Roethlisberger, Jerome Bettis would never have come back. Is it the same situation between Tomlin and Le'Veon Bell? Was that the defining moment to get Le'Veon Bell to come back to play? Was Mike Tomlin and the open communication they've had since he's been, quote-unquote, not holding out?
Yeah, well, everybody knows the Steelers are that close to the Super Bowl, and they obviously, I don't think they're going to win it without Le'Veon Bell. It's like I said, the team get a little bit frustrated that it's not this long. I think, we didn't jump the first day. That was one thing. They did OTA, that's fine. Once you get past the preseason game, all right, but now you're 2 preseason games in, it's out of here. And the Super Bowl is out there, and I think that's why Bell will show up one of the reasons. And like I said, if he gets back here and he stays healthy, stays productive, everybody will forget about all this. Fans, teammates, coaches, everybody, the organization. If they start out 4-0 and he has 800 all-purpose yards in his first 4 games, nobody will care when it happens. If he comes in and he plays that first game against Cleveland, and even if he gets an injury that's totally something that was, whatever it might be, whatever injury it is, it could be only bad luck. But people will start saying, hey, if you were to cancel, you got yourself in shape, you're taking hits in practice, this wouldn't happen. So that's the risky thing. If that happens, then maybe people can turn on him again. But other than that, I think all will be well with everybody.
Winning cures all wounds. And that goes across the board, Chris. You're talking NCAA, you're talking golf, tennis, whoever you have out there. If you have a guy who's not necessarily holding out, but he's holding out on his teammates, on his members. There were rumors floating around that players were going to pay him money just to get him, to lure him back onto the field. Were they serious about paying that kind of money, or it just was just talk?
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to know what everybody's thinking for sure. But, again, in terms of Bell stuff, he's going to make the same amount of money whether he showed up for OTAs or he shows up on September 9th. It's going to be the same contract no matter what. So we'll get paid, and they're playing all regular season games if that's the case. And, if it all works out well, then he'll be healthy, he'll be playing. If he's a bad year, then people will point to it and say, hey, you should have been here this whole time.
Well, we're certainly going to find out. Again, winning cures all wounds. I think Le'Veon Bell will show up on September 1st. At least that's the deadline he's given himself. Do you think that's a hardcore number? I mean, is he really going to show up on the 1st of September?
I put it out. Hey, put them on Twitter. It happens, right? It makes sense. I guess in some sense, if everyone playing the preseason game, and that's kind of both employees playing the game and he, makes kind of a statement out of it. If he gets the whole preseason, it kind of makes it look more like, hey, I was holding out for what's right here. It makes a lot of sense that way. Still have 10 days to prepare, probably time there to get ready for the Browns. The game plan to be in there. It's probably the last possible day he can show up and reasonably say he's prepared to put in that first game against the Browns.
I want to see what happens. We're talking to Chris Adamski right here on the Two Lights News Radio Network on the Rude Dog Show. He joins me live. Chris, one last thing. I was watching something at AFC North related, not necessarily Le'Veon Bell related or Steelers related, but AFC North related, and it could have some significant impact in regards to who starts under center for the Browns or who the Steelers will face in Game 1 of the opening here in 2017. Brock Osweiler was rumored to have been shopped around by the Browns, but nobody wanted to take on that massive contract. What do you know of that, and is that as accurate as it sounds?
Well, hey, I don't know if I just know too much inside, but I'm sure the Browns would love to have somebody take away that contract. I mean, that's how they got the contract when they somebody the Houston gave a second round pick. And so I don't know who at this point would want Osweiler as their starter normally, but if you have a team and you have a good backup quarterback, you can force the Brock Osweiler, and if you have the cap space to handle the $60 million guaranteed dollars you get this year, you have that cap space. Maybe you work on a deal in the Browns, keep you an asset quarter to again, but I don't know. It's going to be too much market for Brock Osweiler. You're going to trade up, pay $60 million to be your backup, or a low-end starter.
I don't know. We're going to certainly see how that works out. Chris Adamski. Hey, Chris, thank you so much for joining me here on the show. I appreciate it. It's always nice to be insightful and to be knowledgeable about what's going on there in Pittsburgh. Last but not least, I'll let you go. I hate to bring up a sore spot, but it is the Pirates, and they keep losing. And then they'll win. Then they take 2 steps backward and take 1 step forward and 2 steps backwards. What's going on with this Pirates team? Is there someone to personally point the finger at? Is it Nutty? Is it Huntington's picks? What is it, and how can the Pirates correct it next year?
Yeah, I think this year there was a lot of things inspired, kind of unsettle their season, and they lost some of those out of the season. That situation was starting to Marte for half the season. Henry McCutcheon just was literally one of the worst offensive players in baseball the first 6 weeks. Since then, he's one of the best offensive players in baseball. So if you had him for the next 6 weeks, maybe win an extra game or two. David Sky was missing a month with his cancer situation. The guy obviously was bad luck in a lot of ways, or unfortunate in a lot of ways. But you can point those fingers a lot of places. They're not the payroll could be higher. They could have done things to add to the team, perhaps. But some of the moves they did make, they did spend money, haven't worked out well. When it's Daniel Hudson, when they see some of the other guys, bullpen's been a mess pretty much all year long, and that's not the case. It just wasn't their year. Now, looking forward, there's some pieces there that could be better. Talent last time, everything didn't work out. This year, they expect to have a big year. We'll see now next year. He could be going, the guy they think they could be. There's enough potential there. They could be contenders next year, but there's also a lot of things that go wrong again to make sure it doesn't happen.
Well, let's hope so. I know that they just acquired Angel Sanchez. They call him Angel Sanchez from the minors. I'd like to think that he could be a solid contributor. You have a lot of pieces on that Pirates team. I just don't know if they're going to be able to put it together in time to even think about it. I mean, they're over 7.5 games back in the NL. I don't know that the Pirates have this killer instinct, despite having Starling Marte back, who was suspended earlier for PED usage, and I just think that there's a lot of pieces of the puzzle that are missing for the Pirates. I don't see them doing it this year, and much less get to 80 games this year. I just don't have a problem with the rotation, a lack of depth there. Hitting at times, you get 1 home run out of your entire lineup, and that's the only production you get the entire game in 9 innings. It just, I just have a problem with that. Maybe they'll get it right next year. I just don't see it this year anyway. Chris, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, Rudy, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks again. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Adamski joined me right here on the Rudolph Show, the 2 Live Studios Radio Network. I am live right here on Spreaker and on Facebook for about 6 more minutes. I want to add a little bit more about the Pirates for just a moment. And Chris was talking about how there are some pieces that are missing. You can point fingers to this person, point fingers to that person. But who's truly to blame here? I mean, is there anybody at all that can be held accountable, that can hold the torch of I'm accountable in a room full of darkness? I mean, is there anything like that for this Pirates organization? Or anybody who's going to stand up to say it's my fault, I'm to blame, and this, that, and the other? I just believe that I think about the last couple of seasons definitely look a lot better than they do now. That's just the way it is. They won over 80 games. They were solid in rotation. They had a decent lineup. and I look at the rest of the NL Central, it doesn't get any easier for the Pirates. It just doesn't. All the other teams, the NL Central, between the Cubs, even the Reds, as bad as the Reds are, they still have the plausibility to become something if they continue winning games in a row like they need to. Pirates, I just don't know. I just don't know. I don't know about them. I don't know about their resilience. I just don't know. I really don't know. Anyway, this is Rudy Reyes on the Rudy Show on the Two Life Stews Radio Network. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. We're going to have another fantastic show. Hey, but thanks for tuning in. This is Rudy Reyes. I'll see you guys tomorrow.